Shoe up, shoe up, shoe up, shoe up. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos. Hit that like button. Y'all coming here. Let's go. Let's get it popping. All right, y'all. Put my seatbelt on, man. Got some food. You know what I'm saying? Got some good old chicken. El pollo chicken. For all my Spanish people, las frutas, fruit. You know what I'm saying? Got some agua, water. Y'all gotta get y'all bilingual up, man. Out here on the West Coast, definitely it's a plus if you can speak more than one language, right? Definitely a benefit. But let's get into the video. Y'all see the title. It's gonna be an interesting one. This is gonna be a good one for me personally. We're gonna get into this whole Joel Embiid Sixer drama right now. Now, I just did a video about them 2 days ago with the whole leakage of the story of the meeting. So I'm a little backdrop I'm gonna give to the people that's kind of, coming in. So 2 days ago, 2 days ago, it was on Monday, after the Miami Heat lost. The Sixers are going through definitely a rough time. They're 2-12. They're the lowest team in the Eastern Conference. They're the worst team at number 15 seed. They have not gotten a chance to have their big three on the court outside of 6 minutes on the court together, right? For the first 14 games of the season, they've only played 6 minutes. That's Joel Embiid, that's Paul George, and that's Tyrese Maxey. All right? Now, just recently, after the Miami Heat loss on Monday, Nick Nurse said that there was a meeting that they had, the players and I guess some of the coaches had, where it took over an hour for players or for Nick Nurse to come and address the media after the game. Y'all know how the media goes. Coaches and players address the media after games, winning or losses, homes or aways, whatever. It took him an hour to come out of that meeting. Now, Nick Nurse said, before he even opened up for questions, he said, we had a little meeting, and I won't get into the details of that, but I'm happy to answer anything about the game, any questions about the game, right? Now, of course, that led, more people to say, okay, whatever, no big deal, because, he just said it, you're not going to know what we said. Well, less than 24 hours, Shams Charania, ESPN or NBA insider, senior reporter, took over Agent Wojnarowski's spot, revealed and reported what the main elephant in the room was, and the same, I quote, Tyrese Maxey calls out Joel Embiid or challenges Joel Embiid, one of the two. Now, you read a little bit deeper into the article, I'm reading verbatim. Tyrese Maxey challenged Joel Embiid to be on time for on-team activities. And I said activities pretty much, in my personal opinion, probably is like, practice, film sessions, weight room sessions, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Regular stuff with, basketball, regular in-season activities. That was what was reported. Now, with that being said, they look at it and they're like, okay, well, what was said after Tyrese Maxey said what he said? Well, Joel Embiid said he took accountability. He said, I'll take all that, I'm pretty much listening, this, that, and the other. And then Joel Embiid says, the only thing is that I'm a little bit confused on, what we're running in certain games. And I said in the video, I'm like, well, maybe, nigga, if you was at practice all the time and film sessions on time, you wouldn't be confused. But I'm going to get into that quote in a minute because I thought that was interesting. He said that. But that happened Tuesday morning. That was leaked out. And then I see that there was Joel Embiid last night. There was a story about, what he had, talked to the media about what he thought about somebody leaking it. And he said in these very few words, whoever leaked that is a piece of shit. Right? He said whoever leaked that information is a piece of shit. That's what he said, okay? Now, I'm going to give my thoughts about that as well. And this is going to be a good one because I'm going to give it to y'all from an analyst perspective. I'll give it to y'all from a player perspective, right? But first off, my question was the same with how Shams gets that information. Let me explain something to y'all, bro. Player meetings are very common when it comes to not just basketball, but sports in general. When you have a players meeting, it tends to mean something is usually off about the season. It's a long 82-game season, and everything is going to be peaches and cream. And if it's bad enough, and if stuff is going wrong that is not supposed to be going wrong, you're going to have what they call a meeting. Just like anything at your job where a boss may sit you down because your performance may not be great, or you may not be coming up to par and it's affecting the company, the boss may say, hey, come to my office for a minute. Essentially, it's the same thing that happens in sports. Basketball is a job. I can recall a time where I was playing professional, and we had a situation, we were actually losing, and we felt the coach, and this may sound bad at the time, blaming the coach, but we really felt strong that the coach was not giving us what we needed, right, being used the right way as a team. Felt like, he didn't realize we wasn't prepared for games and practices, and we were, getting embarrassed. And unfortunately, in professional sports, the coach is the person that tends to, get blamed for the most part. But I'm just going to tell y'all, we had a players meeting, and we had everybody in the chat, like in the text chat, we had a chat for all players talking. And, man, we said, man, this shit ain't working. We got to have a meeting. We got to talk. So it was like 12 of us before, I think, it wasn't even a practice or a game day. We just met at a random spot. And we said, you know what, man, like, how do y'all feel about this? What y'all thoughts about this coach? And I swear about 90% of them said we wanted him out. So we had to go to the general manager of the team and let him know what we thought, and he was removed from the team. But I'm just going to say that to say this. Player meetings are very common. They're not something that's unusual, right? Paul George initiated that on his podcast as well. And I watched some of the other podcasts like Gil's Arena as well. There was a quote by one of the young ladies. She said, she wasn't against Maxey calling out Joel Embiid, but what she doesn't like is when players, people want to call people out when stuff is going wrong. Patrick Beverly on his podcast said something similar. He said, well, everybody, when stuff is not going well, people want to talk and, want to, point fingers and look around to see what the problem is, because they're frustrated, right? So basically what they're saying is that Joel Embiid's been doing this. And I can attest to that. He's been doing this behavior for a long period of time. And they weren't saying nothing because the Sixers were not this bad. Like last year, they started off the season 21-9. All right, which goes to show you why they are struggling the way they're struggling, is because their big three has not played outside of 6 minutes for the season. It's hard for me to judge this team if they're not all on the court at the same time. You got Joel Embiid start off the season hurt, on the bench, and you got Paul George start off the season when it's just Tyrese Maxey. They go 1-4. Paul George comes back. He's on minutes restriction for half the time. He comes back 4 full games, but he's not on minutes restriction. He gets hurt again. But then Joel Embiid's on minutes restriction. He's trying to come back healthy. Tyrese Maxey tears. He sprains his hamstring. So now we're back to everybody is kind of like, it's like unbalanced because they're not on the court at the same time. So now PG gets a hyperextension where he's out for at least the next 2 games. So now it's like, okay, Tyrese Maxey, he's going to ramp up after just being out for the first game, being back for the first game against Memphis. And then Joel Embiid's now, back off a minutes restriction. But at the same time, you still are managing it. So it's a lot of stuff that is imbalanced right now. So it's hard to really even judge this team. But at the same time, it doesn't matter because we're still, the season's moving. The season ain't waiting for nobody. You got to figure out, you got to find a way to get these guys on the court healthy. But that's beside the point. I want to focus on what I was just saying. Player meetings are very, very common. They're not something that's uncommon. And see, that's why I like player podcasts. A lot of people complain saying that player podcasts, that people don't need to have them and, stuff like that, man. I don't know why y'all feel like that, is when reality, it's funny that people say that, but those are the ones that are most watched. Y'all not watching people who don't play basketball. Y'all not watching Skip Bayless's podcast. You're not watching Stephen A. Smith's podcast. You're not watching Jason Whitlock's podcast. You're not watching all these other podcasters who quote unquote get paid through just podcasts because they don't interest you. They don't interest you like that. But you tune into all these player podcasts, the Draymond Greens, the Paul Georges, the Patrick Beverleys, Gil's Arena, guys who are still playing. Well, Gil's Arena ain't playing. But guys that are still playing, y'all are tuning into their podcasts. CJ McCollum had a podcast when he was playing. I believe Kevin Durant had a podcast, if I'm not mistaken, for a period of time. Listen, man, player podcasts gives insight of stuff that people are not privy to who never really played basketball or never was on a professional team. Those are the most viewed podcasts out there. So either somebody lying that they don't like watching it, or you do like it and you're like me, you want to hear more and more. Like I'm a little bit different because I was already in the locker rooms. I know what it's like. That's why I said player meetings are very, very common. But that beside is like it's not really even, you know, a big deal. There's people that have had meetings already. I can guarantee you there's teams that have already had meetings this year and y'all didn't even know about it, right? Because it wasn't leaked out in the media. Do y'all don't think the Milwaukee Bucks had a team meeting? They were struggling for a period of time. Now they're turning their season around. I think they won their last 5 out of 6 games, right? You don't think, you know, teams that, you know, the Lakers have had team meetings, not even this year, but the team it's a point to get things in order. That's what a meeting is. I mean, hell, I'm gonna put it at the regular civilian job. If you have a meeting amongst your peers and your coworkers, that is something to get things organized. It's like a timeout. Like timeout, if something's going wrong in the game, that's what it's for. You're supposed to. You're not gonna ever go through a certain part and not call a timeout. That's what they're for in basketball games. It's the same thing with a team meeting. We look like, what the hell is going on? We need to get back in order. We need to get everything out. What's everybody's mind? This, that, and the other. Right? So, according to Paul George's podcast, and Reggie Jackson was there as well, it was a healthy dialogue amongst the players, and they were getting everything out. Not only was the whole Joel Embiid thing a story, it was also about the players telling the coaches we want to be coached harder. Right? We want the coaches to coach us harder. And everyone also was talking about what they need to do better. So when I first heard, Tyrese Maxey called Joel Embiid out, I'm like, first off, that's not even Tyrese Maxey's personality. The dude he ain't a confrontational type of person. He's not. I could attest to that because I have people that know him personally in Dallas, where he went to school, like where he's from. He's not a confrontational person. And from what I know with him and Joel Embiid's relationship, I think he knows how to talk to him without, making him feel like he's attacked. That's why the report came also. Joel Embiid took everything and basically said, you know what, I got to be better. But my question is that who leaked that information? And this goes to the point that there's something else that's even deeper than what's, the whole meeting. That's my question. Who leaked it? It was somebody that wanted Joel Embiid to, be that's why I said this has been going on for a long time, because it was somebody that felt like they were tired of Joel Embiid shit. I'm just gonna tell y'all the truth. It's the same thing with Draymond Green a couple years ago when he punched Jordan Poole, and then the camera caught it and they filmed it and they leaked it and they released it to TMZ and they released it to the public. That don't get just leaked out, man. And no one knows. Right? So somebody leaked that information. Now, my thoughts on somebody leaking it, me personally, if I'm Joel Embiid, I mean, you gotta look at it like, okay, which much is given, much is required. You know you've been late. You haven't been on time. And it was cool because it was good at one point because you guys were doing well, but now that's kind of cheating. That's cheating your teammates. That's cheating the game. And if you cheat the game, it's going to eventually come back and bite you. I would just take the L and take it on the chin. Like, okay, well, it's out there. My best friend, one of my closest friends, Tyrese Maxey, called me out. It is what it is. We got bigger fish to fry. I'll deal with that later. Right now, it's sources saying people close to Joel Embiid that he's trying to figure out who the snitch was. I get that point. It's a certain trust you have in the locker room, but at the same time, the Sixers have bigger issues than to worry about that. Show us that you can continuously play at a high level. You had 35 points the other night. Let's see if you can get some wins. and then you can sit up there and actually, you know, think about other stuff. But my thoughts again, man, it's not something that is unusual to have team meetings. And I think also people got to remember, like I said, player podcasters and players who speak on this is stuff that we used to not be privy to this stuff. You know, I used to always ask, you know, back in the day, like they didn't have certain things that were actually addressed for the public. You know what I'm saying? But now, because fans are able to have access to these things, I take it as people need to actually look at it like, watch the player podcasters more than these little analysts and shit, like, because they don't know about really the ins and outs, what goes on to the locker rooms. They don't know what's really being, you know, done, what's said. If, you know, they don't have that type of access. They just don't. All they can do is just, you know, from afar, you know, give their opinion. All Skip Bayless can do is give his opinion. That's all he can do. All Shannon Sharp can really do is give his opinion. All Jason Whitlock can do is give his opinion. Right? We all have an opinion, but at the same time, opinions are stronger if you have somebody inside within the lines that actually can, you know, tell you what's going on, right? That's why Draymond Green's podcast for a period of time, everybody's, you know, was so tuned into that one, because it's like, even because as much crazy shit Draymond Green does, that's what he sells. He gives people tune into his podcast. People tune in to view what he's doing. So why not make a certain percentage, or try to, you know, it might be a certain percentage, or it might just be an outlet. Some people use it as an outlet. Some people use it just to basically get away. Like, these players don't just train 24/7. Like, everybody wants this generation, everybody wants them to be Kobe and Jordan. Oh, I'm gonna lock myself in a dark room and just be like, you know, completely caged in, man. Like, I'm sorry to break it to y'all, that's not what it is. That's not reality. We have never seen nobody like Kobe and Jordan to lock themselves in a room and not, you know, have an outside, you know, life. Every player has something they do outside of basketball. That's an outlet, right? These players spend all day training, recovering, working out. You know what I mean? But I like watching these player podcasts because, again, they give insight. But as far as the whole Joel Embiid situation, it's not even just him. The Sixers in general, they have a season to turn around, because, you know, you guys were contenders, and I know that y'all ain't been healthy, but no one cares about that. No one cares about y'all being not healthy. Other players going to have to step up. Jared McCain's been stepping up. You know, Tyrese Maxey's he's back now again on the court. Gershon Yabusele been stepping up. He's been playing well. Caleb Martin needs to play better. Kelly Oubre needs to, like, a lot of the players need to play better, right? And need to continuously, you know, stay at that level. But that's all I gotta say about that, man. I'm about to, you know, head up to this gym, but I'll be doing a live tomorrow with the Clippers game. Post game, I might be doing a live tomorrow. But until next time, put up, check, put live page out there like swim wild.